Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before this Jummah passes, I want to invite your heart to pause just for a moment and reflect on a truth we often forget. Every week Allah gives you a day so full of mercy, so heavy with blessings, so overflowing with opportunities that if we truly understood it, we would prepare for it the way we prepare for Eid. But the reality is, most of us rush through it. Most of us underestimate it. And most of us don't realize how much our lives could change if we honored this day the way Allah intended. Today, I want to take you on a journey through the unbelievable benefits of Jummah. Not the benefits we know, not the ones we hear, but the ones we feel when the heart wakes up, when the soul reconnects, and when the believer finally understands the beauty of this weekly gift. Because Jummah is not just a prayer. It is not just a khutbah. It is not just a routine moment in our week. Jummah is a reset for your heart, a multiplier for your deeds, a doorway for your dua, a gathering that strengthens an entire ummah. And wallahi, if you stay with me till the end of this message, I promise you will never look at Jummah the same way again. You will walk into the next Friday with a different intention, a different energy, and a different understanding of what Allah is offering you every single week. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's discover together the unbelievable blessings hidden within this sacred day. Let this be the Jummah that changes your Jummahs forever. Jummah. Being a weekly spiritual reset is one of the most profound gifts Allah has given to the believers. Human beings are not designed to stay spiritually charged at all times. We rise and fall. We get distracted. We get overwhelmed. And sometimes our hearts feel distant from Allah even when we don't want them to. Life pulls us in every direction. Work, stress, responsibilities, social pressures, emotional fatigue, and slowly, without realizing it, the heart becomes heavy. Jummah comes every 7 days to lift that heaviness, to refocus the mind, and to bring the believer back to their original center, Allah. This is why scholars call Jummah the weekly Eid and the weekly purification, because it functions as a spiritual reset button that brings the heart back to clarity and softness. When a believer attends Jummah with consciousness, the entire routine becomes an act of internal cleansing. Taking a bath with the intention of Jummah is not just physical cleanliness, it symbolizes washing away the mental dust accumulated through the week. Wearing clean clothes reminds you that your heart also needs to be clean before you stand in front of Allah. Going early to the masjid teaches your soul discipline, humility, and eagerness for reward. Sitting and listening to the khutbah with stillness allows the Quran and reminders to enter the heart at a deeper level. Because on Jummah, the believer is more receptive, more focused, and more aware of why they are there. Throughout the week, sins, small mistakes, and moments of heedlessness accumulate. They cloud the heart and weaken the connection with Allah. Jummah wipes them away. The Prophet told us that from one Jummah to the next, the sins between them are forgiven as long as major sins are avoided. This is not just a hadith. It is a spiritual reality that every believer feels. There is a reason why after Jummah prayer, people feel lighter, calmer, and spiritually refreshed. That feeling is not psychological. It is a mercy from Allah. It is Allah telling you that He has opened the door for you once again and allowed your heart to breathe after suffocating in the pressures of the dunya. Jummah also resets your priorities. The world constantly tries to convince us that wealth, success, entertainment, and achievements are the center of life. But when the call for Jummah is made, Allah commands us to pause everything, business, work, transactions, worldly commitments, and rush toward His remembrance. This weekly command realigns your inner compass. It reminds you that no matter how busy life gets, Allah comes first. It reminds you that the dunya can wait, but your relationship with your Creator cannot. Jummah brings the believer back to this truth, gently but powerfully. On this day, the Quran is recited more, dhikr is made more, salawat upon the Prophet increases, and a general atmosphere of spirituality surrounds the believer. All of these acts revive the heart. Reading Surah Al-Kahf brings a special light for the entire week ahead. Making dua on Friday carries a hope that perhaps it will coincide with the hour in which prayers are accepted. These small acts collectively reboot the soul and refill the spiritual tank that had been slowly draining throughout the week. Jummah also reconnects the believer with the community. Seeing other Muslims standing shoulder to shoulder, sharing the same prayer and listening to the same reminder creates an environment of unity and strength. A believer may come to the masjid drained and overwhelmed, but when he or she prays alongside hundreds of others, that loneliness disappears. The heart feels supported, understood, and strengthened. This emotional reset is just as important as the spiritual one. In the end, Jummah transforms an ordinary Friday into a day of healing, cleansing, and reconnection. It gives you a chance to return to Allah even if the week pushed you far away. It resets your heart, your intentions, your priorities, and your relationship with your Creator in a way no other day does. Jummah being a day of multiplied rewards is one of the most extraordinary demonstrations of Allah's mercy toward the believers. While every day is an opportunity for worship, Jummah carries a unique spiritual weight that transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary acts of devotion. It is a day when the doors of reward are opened wider, when every good deed you do carries a greater return, and when the believer has the chance to elevate their status with Allah in a way that isn't available on other days of the week. Allah has honored this day since the creation of Adam, and because of that, He placed barakah and multiplied blessings within it. The believer who recognizes this does not let Jummah pass like any other day, because the spiritual opportunities hidden within it are far too valuable to ignore. One of the most remarkable aspects of Jummah is the way Allah counts the steps of the believer walking to the masjid. Each step is recorded as a reward, a good deed, a purification of sins. Even the act of preparing for Jummah, performing ghusl, wearing clean clothes, applying fragrance with the intention of pleasing Allah, becomes an act of worship. On Jummah, the intention behind simple actions carries the weight of ibadah. Allah multiplies rewards not only for the prayers and recitation, but even for the effort put into honoring this sacred day. This shows that Jummah is not just about the prayer, it is about the state of the heart throughout the entire day. Reading Surah Al-Kahf on Jummah is another act that brings multiplied blessings. The Prophet told us that it rings a light for the believer from one Friday to the next. This light is not just metaphorical. It is a spiritual clarity that protects the believer from misguidance and increases wisdom, patience, and strength throughout the week. Every verse becomes a source of nur that extends beyond the moment of recitation. This is the multiplied reward of Jummah, one action offering benefit for an entire week ahead. Imagine reading a surah that shields your heart from darkness and fills your life with clarity simply because you honored the day Allah honored. Sending abundant salawat upon the Prophet is also magnified on Fridays. The Prophet himself encouraged the believers to increase salawat on this day specifically, promising that it reaches him directly. Each salawat is written as 10 good deeds, 10 sins erased, 10 ranks elevated, and your name mentioned among the highest company of angels. Jummah multiplies this reward even further, turning a single moment of remembrance into a chain of blessings that accompany the believer long after the day has passed. Sadaqah given on Jummah is also increased in value. Charity dispels calamities, increases sustenance, and softens the heart. But giving charity on Jummah carries an additional spiritual sweetness. It is a day when generosity reflects gratitude for the blessings Allah has poured upon you all week. Many scholars mention that giving sadaqah on Friday attracts barakah in one's wealth and brings divine protection in the days ahead. Jummah makes the believer more conscious of their blessings, and this awareness increases the sincerity behind every act of giving, which naturally multiplies its reward. Even attending the khutbah brings multiplied benefit. Sitting quietly, listening attentively, and reflecting deeply are all written as forms of worship. Every moment of silence for the sake of Allah, every reflection on a verse, a reminder, every softening of the heart is recorded as multiplied reward. Jummah transforms 30 to 40 minutes of listening into a treasure of spiritual elevation that many people overlook. Allah multiplies the reward because the khutbah is a time of direct guidance meant to wake the heart from heedlessness. Dhikr on this day is also elevated. Saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, or La ilaha illallah on Jummah carries greater weight than on other days. The believer who fills the morning of Friday with remembrance wakes up spiritually richer, more centered, and more connected to Allah. Ummah is a weekly reminder that Allah loves to reward His servants. It is His way of inviting the believer to earn more, grow more, and rise more with minimal effort. It is a day where the smallest deed becomes heavy on the scales, and the sincere heart is lifted to ranks it never imagined. Ummah, being the day that contains the special hour of acceptance, is one of the most comforting and hope-giving gifts Allah has granted this Ummah. Every believer carries inner wishes, silent prayers, unseen pain, personal needs, and dreams that the heart whispers only to Allah. Some du'as are made with tears, some with desperation, some with patience, and some with deep longing. Allah, in His immense mercy, designated a moment on Friday in which any sincere du'a, any heartfelt call, and any whispered request is accepted without a doubt. This Sa'at al-Ijābah is not like any other moment in the week. It is a divine opportunity wrapped in secrecy, urging the believer to remain consistent in du'a throughout the entire day. Allah hid this hour so the servant would seek Him more, call upon Him more, and remain in continuous remembrance throughout Friday. The beauty of this hour lies in the fact that Allah is inviting you to speak to Him. He is telling you that there is a moment on His day where the barriers between you and His mercy lift, where your call is answered immediately, where the unseen doors you have been waiting for begin to open. For many people, Friday becomes the day they cry out to Allah for their deepest needs: guidance, healing, forgiveness, children, marriage, relief from debt, emotional peace, and strength to overcome their private struggles. The believer approaches Friday not casually but with hope, because a du'a made in this blessed time can transform a person's life in ways they never imagined. The scholars mention that this hour may be between the two khutbahs, or it could be during the last portion of the day before Maghrib, or it may move within the day as a hidden spiritual gift. This uncertainty is not a burden, it is a mercy. Allah wants the believer to fill the entire day with du'a, so the heart remains attached to Him from morning to evening. When a person wakes up on Friday knowing that any moment could be that blessed hour, their heart becomes softer, their tongue becomes more active in remembrance, and their entire attitude shifts toward hope. This consistent turning to Allah throughout the day creates a heart that is alive, conscious, and deeply connected to its Creator. What makes this hour so extraordinary is the level of intimacy it creates between the servant and Allah. When a believer makes du'a repeatedly, waiting for that moment of acceptance, their heart develops sincerity and humility. In those moments, ego fades, pride dissolves, and the soul returns to its true position as a servant in need of the most merciful. The believer realizes that all doors in the world may close, but Allah's door never closes. This recognition itself is a form of acceptance, a transformation that happens in the heart even before the du'a is answered. This hour of acceptance also encourages consistency in du'a. A believer who knows about this divine moment does not limit du'a to crises or hardships, but turns it into a habit of the soul. They ask for protection even when things are going well, for gratitude even when they feel blessed, and for steadfastness even when their iman feels strong. Jummah nurtures this habit, teaching the believer that du'a is not merely requesting things, it is a relationship built with Allah. The act of making du'a throughout Friday reshapes the believer from within, making them more grateful, patient, optimistic, and spiritually aware. This special hour also brings comfort to the brokenhearted. Someone carrying grief might find immense relief, knowing that their tearful whisper on Friday afternoon could be the moment Allah chooses to lift their burden. Someone who has been making the same du'a for years without seeing results may find renewed hope knowing that Jummah carries a guaranteed moment of divine response. It helps the believer endure delay with trust, knowing that acceptance is already written, but the timing is chosen by the one who knows best. Even if the du'a is not answered in the exact form requested, Allah responds in a way that protects, elevates, and benefits the believer. Sometimes the acceptance comes as peace in the heart, sometimes as strength to endure, and sometimes as a blessing delayed for a better moment. The believer who immerses themselves in du'a on Friday experiences a spiritual closeness that softens every difficulty. Jummah's hour of acceptance becomes a reminder that Allah listens, Allah responds, and Allah never abandons the heart that turns to Him with sincerity. Jummah, strengthening the Ummah, is one of the most profound social and spiritual gifts that Allah has placed in the weekly life of a believer. Human beings are created to connect, to belong, and to support one another, and Islam recognizes this deeply. Throughout the week, people live in their own worlds, busy with work, family responsibilities, and personal struggles. Everyone is fighting battles that others may never see. Some feel lonely, some feel spiritually drained, some feel disconnected from their faith, and some feel overwhelmed by the burdens of life. Jummah brings all of them together, rich and poor, old and young, educated and uneducated, employers and employees, to stand shoulder to shoulder in the same rows, unified by the same declaration of faith. This gathering alone carries a power that reshapes the heart and strengthens the community. On Jummah, no one stands higher than another. There are no reserved rows for status, no separate spaces for privilege. Every believer stands equally before Allah, facing the same qibla, listening to the same khutbah. These moments break the walls that society builds. It reminds the Ummah that what unites them is far greater than what divides them. The unity felt during Jummah is not symbolic. It is practical and deeply spiritual. It teaches humility, compassion, and awareness of the broader Muslim community. When a believer sees hundreds or even thousands of Muslims gathered for the same purpose, the heart is reminded that it is part of a greater whole, part of a global Ummah that shares the same hopes, fears, and purpose. The khutbah itself is a key part of this unity. It is the moment where the entire community learns together, reflects together, and receives the same message of guidance. Throughout the week, people may hear different opinions, follow different routines, and face different challenges. But on Jummah, they gather to be spiritually aligned. Hearing the same reminder softens hearts collectively, encourages positive change, and creates a shared consciousness within the community. Jummah ensures that no believer is spiritually isolated. The khutbah brings everyone onto the S-Ame page, reminding them of Allah, accountability, and the values they should carry throughout their lives. Jummah also strengthens emotional bonds within the Ummah. When people meet one another in the masjid, they greet each other, ask about each other's well-being, and sometimes share their struggles. These moments create friendships, compassion, and a sense of belonging. A believer who feels alone during the week may find comfort in the warmth of the community on Friday. Someone who enters the masjid with a heavy heart may leave feeling supported simply because they saw others standing beside them in prayer. The social fabric of the Muslim community is woven week by week through these interactions, making Jummah a lifeline for many who feel spiritually or emotionally disconnected. For the younger generation, Jummah becomes a powerful reminder of identity. Children and youth who attend Jummah regularly see what it means to belong to a faith that values unity and collective worship. It protects them from the sense of isolation that many young Muslims experience, especially in environments where Islamic identity is challenged. Seeing the Ummah gathered reminds them that they have roots, a community, and a belief system worth holding on to. Another aspect of Jummah that strengthens the Ummah is the way it fosters compassion and awareness of others. When people gather, they notice who is missing, who is unwell, who is struggling financially, or who needs support. This creates a natural environment for charity, encouragement, and community care. Many acts of sadaqah, support, and assistance begin with simple interactions that happen on Friday. Jummah transforms the masjid into a place not only of worship, but of mercy, service, and brotherhood, even for those who arrive, weary or distracted. The collective worship of Jummah revives the spirit. Standing together in rows reminds everyone that they are part of something larger than themselves. The sense of unity creates inner strength, resilience, and hope. This weekly gathering prevents the Ummah from drifting apart spiritually or socially. It keeps hearts connected, reinforces shared values, and ensures that no believer feels that their journey to Allah is a lonely one. Through Jummah, Allah gives the Ummah a rhythmic heartbeat, one that pulses with unity, compassion, faith, and collective strength every single week. My dear brothers and sisters, as we reflect on the unbelievable benefits of Jummah, we realize that this day is far more than a weekly ritual. It is a gift of mercy, a source of purification, a moment of acceptance and a gathering that strengthens the heart and the Ummah together. Jummah cleanses the soul from the stains of the week, multiplies our good deeds beyond measure, grants us a divine hour when du'as are answered, and unites us in a bond of faith and brotherhood that no worldly system can replicate. Every Friday is an opportunity to return to Allah renewed, focused, and hopeful. Every Friday is a reminder that Allah never leaves His servants without a path back to Him. And every Friday is a chance to rewrite our spiritual story with sincerity, humility, and gratitude. If we honor Jummah, Jummah will honor our hearts. If we seek its blessings, Allah will open doors we never imagined. And if we embrace its gifts, this one day can transform all 7 days of our week, filling our lives with peace, guidance, and light. Thank you so much for trusting me to help you craft this message. May Allah bless your speech, put barakah in your efforts, and allow your words to touch hearts and inspire lives. May He grant you sincerity, clarity, and confidence as you deliver this reminder. Good luck, and may Allah make your Jummah and every Jummah ahead a source of endless blessings for you and everyone who listens to your work.